Scandinavian Bob here, hi, a real voice and person behind this video, and today I want to share a story from my own journey of quitting porn that I was reminded of when I read through some of my old rebooting journals yesterday. So this was a warm summer day back in 2015 and I had just put my running shoes on and was headed to my favorite running place, a cozy forest about 10 miles away from my house. This day I was on day 19 of my reboot, and as I was sitting there in my car driving toward the forest, I thought to myself, oh man, I feel so incredibly empty today. Everything feels pointless, but I'm sure I'll feel better once I get to the forest. A few minutes later, I arrived at my usual parking spot and got out of the car. The birds were singing and the weather was warm. It was almost like nature was setting itself up to help me increase my mood. So after a few short stretches, I started running. But I instantly felt that something was off. It felt like my shoes were made of concrete, dragging my legs down from the very first minute. Now, I had been hoping to break my own distance record that day and get to feel proud of myself when I was done. But what happened next was disappointing in so many ways. After only 5 minutes, I just stopped running. I stopped and sat down on a boulder. I'm so tired, I thought. Here I am trying to exercise and do all the good things in life, yet I constantly fail with everything. So what's the point? I walked back to my car and started driving back home. And now that emptiness in my chest was even darker and stronger. It was a strong feeling of, well, like something was deeply missing in my life. Empty, and everything felt pointless and joyless. Now, I shouldn't have been so hard on myself because I had been running every day during that reboot streak. And since I was quite heavy and I'm not really a runner, I was obviously overtrained. But I had somehow thought that just toughing it out would still be good for my reboot. You know, discipline, dopamine and all that stuff. But there I was, driving in my car, and was just about to turn left towards the small gravel road leading up to my house, when I hesitated for a few seconds and then turned right instead. I drove straight to the grocery shop and bought a 6-pack of beer. I felt so empty, and since I abandoned my running session, that good feeling that often comes after exercise wasn't there. So I was desperate for something to give me an escape. A temporary relief, and that day alcohol was the designated tool for the job. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, that would make me relapse right away back to adult sites. But I did not relapse to adult sites that evening. But the following day, yeah, then I had a really bad relapse binge. Now, there are 2 lessons from this story. The first one is, although exercise is good and everyone should do it, if you overtrain several days in a row, you are actually not doing your reboot and your dopamine system any favors. It is okay to overtrain for a short period of time, but not longer periods. But the second lesson is even more important. You see, research actually shows that 2 to 3 weeks after quitting an addiction, your dopamine is at its lowest point. It looks something like this. And since I was on day 19, that's why I felt this empty feeling in my chest, like I was deeply missing something in my life. And so if you at that point then reach for some potent, instant, cheap dopamine, like alcohol, in an attempt to escape, you are going to get a rebound effect downwards after you're done and the following day. So now my dopamine levels were even further into the basement. And then that just became too much for me, so I had no chance of staying away from my main drug of choice that day. The thing I was truly addicted to, the nasty websites. Alright, so if you wanna hear more stories from back when I was struggling with my porn addiction, please let me know in the comment section below and consider subscribing for more. I have now been free from porn addiction for more than 7 years, but getting out of it was a struggle and I have many ups and downs to share. And speaking of that, During my years, I've wrote down helpful things I discovered along the way that I later made into a short guide that I'm now giving away for free to anyone who's interested. And you can find a link to that guide under this video. And okay guys, watch this video next if you too feel down right now, just like I did in this story, and you're afraid that your brain will never heal. Just take a look right now and you'll see exactly what I mean.